Hello everyone, my name is Wissam Hilal. I'm Cloud Solution Architect at Microsoft. You might run into scenarios where you need to automate rotating VMware private cloud passwords, including vCenter and NSX-T Manager admin's passwords. Microsoft Azure provides you with different ways to do that. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use Azure Logic App to automatically reset vSphere credentials for Azure VMware Solution, AVS, on a recurring basis. One important note to mention here that if you are running services that are using vCenter CloudAdmin credentials, you'll need to stop these services before initiating the password rotation. Then update the credentials after resetting the passwords. However, in general, it's highly recommended to set up separate accounts for connected services. What you see on this slide is the final result of what we are going to build together in the demo. This solution is based on Azure Logic App workflow. The main enabler for this solution is the availability of two new actions, rotateVcenterPassword and rotateNSXTPassword at AVS REST API. In addition to that, we are going to leverage Azure Managed Identity to authenticate from the Azure Logic App to AVS Private Cloud securely without exposing credentials. Here you see two sets of examples through Azure PowerShell and Azure CLI on how to trigger the two new actions I mentioned in the previous slide, rotateVcenterPassword and rotateNSXTPassword. Also, you can retrieve the actual value of the passwords either directly from the Azure portal, which is the most straightforward method, or you can use a separate action that is designated to do that functionality, listAdminCredentials, as you can see in the example here. You can find these commands in the video description. Now let's jump into the demo. This is a blank Azure Logic App instance that I have created previously. Let's go first and enable Manage Identity for this Logic App. So here we go under Identity and enable the system assigned Managed Identity. Then we click Save. Okay, now we have a Managed Identity for this Logic App. So now we need to go and assign required permissions for the managed identity that we just created. So first we go to that source group where AVS instance lives. Click on Access Control and add role assignment. This role will be a reader role at this level. The access will be given to Logic App Managed Identity. So this is the one we just created. Click Save. And then we can go back to AVS instance itself and assign the contributor permission for the managed identity. So here we go, Access Control, add role assignment. The permission is contributor. And then we select the managed identity for that Logic App we just created. Click Save. And now we have the sufficient permissions required to start building our Logic App workflow. To start building the workflow, we can go back to the Logic App and either click on Edit here in the bar or open the designer. When we open the designer, we have predefined templates that we can leverage. So in this case, I'm going to leverage the recurrence template. Default value says every 3 minutes trigger this workflow, but I'm going to change that to every 3 months. Also, we can specify our preferred time zone. So in this case, after adding this parameter, I can specify here East US for my case. And that should be it. So we have the recurrence now ready. Next step is to use the Azure Resource Manager connector to invoke the reset passwords that we want to eventually do. So we can select here the operation that says invoke resource operation. Instead of clicking on sign in, we're going to leverage the managed identity that we have created previously. So we click on connect with managed identity. We need to give this API connection a name, so I can call it authenticate via managed identity and click create. Now I need to specify these values, which I'll show you how to get all of them. Subscription, we can get it from the drop-down list. Same as resource group, that's because we have provided this Logic App Managed Identity reader permission over this resource group. And the resource provider in this case is actually Microsoft.avs. And the resource ID that we need to get from the AVS instance itself. So I have another tab opened here for the AVS Private Cloud. I can click on the JSON view here and copy that last part of the resource ID. This is the short resource ID. Paste that here. Now we need to know the client API for the reset vCenter_password. So if we go back to documentation, where say this is rotate vCenter_password action, let's copy the API version. And next, we need to specify the action name. You can also come back here and copy the action name from here, rotate vCenter_password. That's it. Last thing we can do is rename this something meaningful. So we can copy the name from here because I have it written before. Paste it here, and that should be good. So this is our first action in this workflow to reset the vCenter admin password. Next, we need to do the same thing for the NSXT manager password. So new step, again, Azure Resource Manager connector, and select the one that says invoke resource operation. To specify the same values, subscription, source group, and the provider. You can also search here by AVS, and then the short resource ID, which we got from here. And then the client API version, that all we get from the documentation. It's the current one. And last thing we need is the action name. So we go back to documentation, and the action name is here. We can copy it. And we're almost done. Just need to rename this to something more meaningful. So we can call it reset NSXT Manager Admin Password. And now our workflow should be done. So every 3 months, we're gonna go and reset vCenter admin password and reset the NSXT Manager admin password. Before we go and test this workflow, let's reveal the existing values and see after we trigger this workflow if the password will change or not. But before we do that, let's click on Save. We can use Azure Cloud Shell here and run one PowerShell commandlet that will give us the actual values for the password. So here I paste the commandlet. It's called invoke AZ resource action, and we provide the resource ID for our AVS instance, and then the action. The action is called listAdminCredentials. So we click enter, and then as you can see here, we got the passwords back for NSXT. The password is this, and for vCenter, the password is this. So next we can go and run the workflow and see if the password will remain the same or they will change after we do the actual rotation. To do that, we can just go here and click on Run. This is a manual trigger to test our workflow. As you can see here, now it's actually doing the reset vCenterAdmin. So the reset vCenterAdmin password operation is done. It takes around 2 minutes, and the same thing will probably happen to the NSXT manager admin password reset. So we'll just wait, and it should be done in a few seconds. Now, as you can see, all the operations are done successfully. If we click on one of them, like the reset NSXT manager admin password, for example, we can look at the inputs, but what's most interesting is the outputs. Here we can see the status code is 204. That means like a successful operation, but no content to return. So that means it's good. So now what we can do is run the same action that we ran here, listAdminCredentials, to see if the passwords are the same or different. So let's do that. So I executed that commandlet. Let's see the outputs now are the same or different. As you can see here, now the NSXTPassword and the vCenterPassword values are different, meaning that we were able to successfully reset and rotate the password for both of them. Thank you for watching. See you in more videos.